What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Montana Method Podcast one more time. Your host, as always, Nelson Rodriguez Jr., author of Montana Method. Today, I have an awesome guest, the Miami super creative powerhouse himself, Mr. Derick G is in the building. We're going to talk about a lot of great things Miami, things creative, all things in between. Stay tuned for the awesome episode to come.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags.
Derick G, my brother, how are you?
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me.
Of course. It's a pleasure. This space is for people doing it big, especially doing it big in Miami. So
Appreciate that.
You're doing good things. What's been popping? Talk to me.
A lot of behind the scenes stuff, man.
Yeah.
A lot of behind the scenes stuff. Just trying to line everything up, trying to figure out what the next plan is. The market that I somewhat helped set up down here has kind of become very oversaturated. And I know my place in it, so I'm not too concerned about it. But just, the money's different.
Right.
Like anything, when it gets too saturated, the money changes. So
of course.
Trying to figure out what the next move is, trying to figure out what the next plan is, what my name could do for me in the next platform or in the next situation. So just trying to understand that space and just kind of been on the back end. Like I've been reposting a lot of like my old stuff, just kind of friendly reminder.
Okay.
Like the cool stuff I've done in the past, but I just kind of really been focused on what the next move is.
Dope. I like that, man. I like that a lot. So for someone who's done the work, right, especially in the Miami scene, when did you feel the change, and what did it entail? Talk to me about that.
When? I don't know exactly when. I mean, it was just one of those things. I was traveling so much, I was never here. And then when I came home, finally, I was like, all right, I'm here.
It kind of just happened?
It kind of happened while I was gone.
Yeah.
So when I came back, and it's like, all right, cool. I had already did my run with Cash Money. I was coming home from working with LeBron back in Cleveland. It's like, all right, cool, what's next? It's like everybody had their guy already. So it's kind of like, cool, where do I fit? At one point, I was the only guy working with everybody. So everybody realized they needed their own guy. So it created opportunity for a lot of good guys to lock in with an artist and kind of like Ivan Barrios with Khaled. They took off, man, and look what they're doing. You know what I mean? They're doing amazing things. Ivan is still by his side and doing really cool stuff. But then kind of sitting back, kind of like, all right, cool, like, where do I go? Like, who's going to rock with me now? Who's going to hire me? Who's going to pay me my rates? I'm trying to figure that out. So I had little runs with a couple guys here and there. Obviously money wasn't the same. The lifestyle wasn't the same. Got very spoiled, being with Birdman from Cash Money Records at their prime. Their lifestyle was what rappers talk about and show in music videos, but that was everyday life for us. So that's why the content was so good. There's nothing really special on my end, but the fact that I had the access.
You were just around the people that had the content and you were able to capture it, and that's why it was so special, because you had access to these high-level individuals, yeah. And
obviously from going to him to then LeBron, which is another one that lives a lifestyle that people talk and portray in a creative realm but don't really live it, to going from really living it to then, they have the finances to be able to afford and do, what we do and whatnot. To then, coming home and trying to figure out, cool, what's the next step? And then I found my next step was corporate. Dealing with all the corporate giants and just understanding, like, all right, cool, they have the budget.
Right.
Let me rock with them. Not being so concerned about specifically being with a celebrity or an artist, just kind of being the guy down here for the brands. And, I was asked to move to New York. I was asked to move to LA for work. And I kind of never took it on because I wanted to pioneer here. And kind of wanted to open doors here because all the major corporations are doing work down here. But what happens, they fly everybody from out of town into Miami to work, so the money doesn't circulate down here. The money goes back home with them. So, getting in a couple of years and letting them know, like, yo, stop spending money on hotels and flights for, like, I got people down here that can execute for you. Pay us what you're paying them, but you save the money on the flights and the hotels.
Right.
Some of them are like, oh, that makes all the sense in the world. Others were like, no, we like how we work with our teams, and but nonetheless, I was in the mix always. So that's kind of like what happened to me, and that's why people are like, oh, what happened in the vlogs? What happened to this? What happened to that? I started doing so much work with corporate, and corporate's different than a person per se, because even though these guys are entities, we're doing lifestyle stuff. With brands, it's more product. So there's a whole game plan on how like the stuff rolls out.
Right.
So it's not like we can shoot it and post it right away. Sometimes we shoot stuff and it'll sit on the pipeline for months. And by the time they post it, I forgot about it. So like I'll never post it. So people think I'm not doing anything. And it's just like, no, I'm doing a lot. I'm just doing so much that I can't get caught up with it. You know what I mean? And
you're playing a different game. When you play the game at that level, it's not about one specific person. You have to focus on so many different moving parts that sometimes putting all those pieces together it's even though people don't see it, it doesn't mean it's not happening. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what 90% of corporate is. You don't really know what's going on the back end and everything that they have to deal with and whatnot. So kind of understanding and, running through that, that's kind of like where I've been living for the last few years. And, I'll do my stuff here every now and then. And, I'll get invited to like a music video to go do behind the scenes or, that kind of stuff. But it's definitely a different world than what I'm known for per se.
Right. Yeah, I've been a person that's done the same. I've worked with one specific person to strategize on like an idea to have or a business, and then I've worked with companies, and the dynamic is so different. You go from just focusing on one person's vision, what one person wants for themselves, creating a vision for like that single purpose, and then you go to a business where it's like they have a team for this and a team for that, and then you have to incorporate your own style into that, and it's very different. Yeah, and they're both rewarding in totally different ways, Oh
yeah, 1,000%.
Whereas you work with one specific person, it's more rewarding because you build sort of like a friendship. When you work with a team and you see a product go out into the market, what's rewarding is like more like people's reaction to it, not so much my relationship with one specific person. That's how I've kind of experienced it.
I would have a different aspect. So like to me, it's like as much as I have relationships with like some of my past clients, like I understand that we're not friends. We're cool. But, I've always drawn a very thin line between friendship and work with my bigger clients for the simple fact that once you become a friend, then they start asking you for favors they used to pay you for. So I always kind of like to keep it like, when I'm done working for the day, you need anything else? No, we're good. I never loiter. I never hung out. I'm just like, all right, I'm out. I just made it a point like, I'm there to work. And not that I don't want to be friends, not that I'm being a dick. It's just, everyone wants to be their friend. Like I know my place here, and like I know I'm not, they might invite me to dinner one day, they might not, you know what I mean? I've had clients that I've been with them 24/7, and when they go do personal shit, they're like, yo, I'll holler at you tomorrow, and they're gonna go go do cool fun shit, and it's one of those things where it's like, that's not my place, so I don't get invited to that because he's with his friends.
Right.
He's not with, and you have to learn that, you have to understand that, you don't always want to hang out with the people you work with or the people that put money in your pocket. And sometimes you do. Sometimes it's the best thing in the world. If you can make money with your friends, that's amazing.
Right.
But like they say, money ruins everything, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's like you got to understand and draw a line, with certain situations. And you got to kind of know when to step away or when to push through. There have been situations where I worked with people that, I consider great friends, and it's just the chemistry is not there for the work, but we're good friends. So it's like, let me pull away before we ruin our friendship, and the money's not that serious. I'll make money some other way, or and it works out great because then you cross paths with them. There's no tension, there's no situations, there's no misunderstandings. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, cool, it didn't work. We tried, it didn't work. No hard feelings. We keep it moving. Miami's a tough city in the sense of like everybody has a chip on their shoulder. Everybody feels like
everybody has something to prove.
That, and then everybody thinks they're important.
Oof.
So it's like one of those things where it's like, not to downplay anybody, but when you deal with people who have real significance and real, decisions they make affect people and like economies and stuff like that, you start to realize like, not that someone matters any less, but they matter different. So it's like sometimes is someone's opinion or situation, is it really worth me adjusting my lifestyle or my thought process to adjust for them? Like, you know what I mean? It's like that kind of a situation. And I understand that I have a very unique situation with, what I've been involved in and what's fallen on my lap and what I've gotten to work with. So not a lot of people understand that, but a few do. That's fine with me.
Definitely. So for you specifically, out of all because so I'll talk from my perspective for a little bit. I've worked in different industries. I've worked with, like, I can't even. I've had in entrepreneurship, that kind of stuff. I've had more than a decade of experience in working in a bunch of different things. And what I always loved was bringing an idea, turning it into a thing, and then seeing people's reaction to it, right? Mm-hmm. But then a second part of entrepreneurship for me is bringing the thing to the market, seeing people's reaction to it, making it better, evolving that product, right? But then there's also the aspect of me getting better throughout that process. You know what I mean? So from your perspective, what was the best? What was your takeaway from working with artists? And what was your takeaway? Like, what did you like the most out of each process? What was something?
So working with artists, it's different because most artists I work with, I'm going to say most artists I work with are free spirits, do whatever they want when they want. They move at their tone, and then, you know, we follow. Versus, you know, with an athlete, where their body is their instrument and everything they do physically affects their performance. To, like, you know, I use this example all the time, and anyone that's seen all my other interviews, I always bring it up. It's like when Cash Money, you know, they'll be like, yo, meet us at the airport at 7. I'll show up at 6:30. They show up at 2 a.m. So I'm sitting around for hours waiting
crazy,
for them.
Man.
To then,
wild.
you know, go into like a LeBron that tells me like, yo, be at my house at 9. I would show up at 8:45 to be safe. He would walk out of his house at 8:55. If I show up at 9, I would have been late.
Right.
You know, so it's like one is like, I don't want to call it chaos, but it's like very free spirited. And then the other one's very clockwork, very organized, very structured. So it's like working with an athlete like that would allow me to schedule a lot more things through the day, because when he would tell me, hey, we'll be done by this time, I knew for sure we'll be done by that time. With the Cash Money crew, it was just like, hey, I need you Tuesday. I'm not booking nothing else for Tuesday. I'm locked in for Tuesday for the day. And I learned to make peace with it. And it's just like, they're giving me a day rate. I just have to like, okay, this is what it is. And no, I used to stress it. I used to get bothered. And it's one of those things like, yo, they're paying you for the day. They're paying you what you asked for the day. Like, who cares?
Exactly.
Hang out and
play
on your phone and get paid.
Yeah.
You know, so it took a lot of self-discipline for me, because I'm not big on money. I'm big on time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm one of those things. Like, my shit has always been passion over paycheck, and I want to be able to have time to do what I want to do versus what I have to do to get paid.
Right.
You know?
I'm with it 100%. I definitely value time over money too. Mm-hmm. And what most people don't realize is rich people, they're not hiring a maid or some guy to cut their grass, or they're not hiring these people because they're lazy. They're hiring these people to get time back. You know what I mean? Time is so important, and you want to spend it doing what you want to do in life. You know what I mean? Yep. That's why having a team is so important. Once you get to a certain level and you can afford to delegate, that to me is priceless. And the people who kind of have this control issue of not letting go of certain things because no, because I know how to do it and they're going to fuck it up. And I always try to work with those people and tell them, listen, you don't understand. Yes, you do it the best, but once you give someone else the chance to learn and like learn your process and become good at this is going to take so much like weight off your shoulders that you're going to feel a renewed sense of freedom. And that freedom is going to give you the energy to create even more in what you want to create, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an artist, whatever you are. Yeah. You know, I try to explain that to certain people, because that whole like control is an illusion at the end of the day.
We're not in control of nothing.
What can we control?
We can sit here and be like, oh, we're going to record for an hour. This fucking building can fall right now. Yep. We're not recording shit. So I'm a big believer in, you know, once you realize you're not in control is when you can have true happiness and true understanding. Oof. So I'm big on that.
Preach, brother. Yeah, control is definitely an illusion. I've learned that once you surrender to life, like, do your best, obviously, and be serious and be your word. And when you say you're going to be there, so I'm more on the LeBron side. When I tell you I'm going to be there at 5, I'm typically there at 4:30. Yeah. So be your word, do things the right way, treat people right, do right by them, that kind of thing. But whatever happens in the process isn't really in your control. Yeah. You know?
No, you can try to be as structured as life allows you to be, and that's it.
Definitely. For sure, man. So I know we have mutual friends. You know Days.
Yeah, of course.
Tell me about
family. That. Oh, no, Days I've known since he was cutting hair out of a backpack, jumping walls in West Hialeah. You know?
That's dope.
So I used to get my hair cut by this dude, Chunky, and he used to work for Chunky, and then eventually it's just like days just started cutting my hair, and it's been over 20 years.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
That's dope, man.
I mean, fast forward, like, we've traveled, went to Italy. You know, we celebrated our birthday many years together. We're both Scorpios.
Oh, that's dope.
You know, I mean, people that know him. That's a brother to me, you know what I mean? So Definitely. It's like very good people, very connected, you know, very grounded. You know, he's one of those people that the only people that don't like him are the ones that envy him. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's like, I've realized he doesn't like, and no maldición, you know, and he doesn't have no bad intent. He's not looking to do nobody dirt. He's just looking to like live his life and do his thing. And I feel like that's why we connect, because I'm the same way.
100%.
You know what I mean? If you do me wrong, it's just like, bro, I hope life is so amazing to you that you stop thinking about me.
Yes.
You know, if you hate me so much,
bro,
like I want life to be the best it could be for you. So you just stop thinking about me altogether and just let me be and leave my energy and my peace alone. And
I love that.
You know what I mean? Like, to put hate towards somebody else and just kind of continue that cycle, you're not doing nobody no favors, not even yourself. So it's one of those things that, yeah, sometimes we can't help ourselves and we want to, like, go punch somebody in the face or run somebody over or whatever the case may be. But it's just like, all you're going to do is good at it might feel for 5 seconds. You're going to open your eyes and life's going to slap you and be like, yo, you just fucked up. Now you just either made it worse. You just made it worse for yourself.
Yes.
It's not worth the impact. It's not worth the impulse of it happening. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, people call you pussy for walking away or whatever the case may be. But, you know, my peace and I'm alone for the most part. If I'm not with my family, I'm usually dolo. If I'm working, I'm with my crew. But, you know, I don't live my life looking over my shoulder. 90% of the people know what I drive. Right. I'm not hiding from nobody. And, like, to me, that's worth all the peace in the world, and all the shit talkers could talk all the shit that they want. I mean, I don't care. You know, I'm tranquilo. Because they're going to bash, but then when I'm around, they don't say nothing. So, you know, it's man. Like...
I'm with it. I've noticed that most of the time when someone gets in an argument with you or is angry at you, it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with something else that's happening in their life, and they just don't know how to focus that energy and like redirect it into a positive or productive direction. They just let it out, and you're the first person.
You just won the bad lottery at that moment.
Yeah, man. That's super, super, super important. I remember being a kid and seeing adults kind of do that to their kids. Like, just
take it on the kid.
They had just like a bad day at work or whatever. And I've always tried to stay conscious of that. Always, whenever I'm in a chaotic situation, I have a deadline, like whenever I feel the stress come on, I always try to make sure I'm being mindful. Mindful of my process, always keeping in mind that problems have a solution, always keeping in mind of how I'm treating others around me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I'm big on team, and I'm big on having good energy everywhere I go. So whenever I have someone on my team that is like doing good work, I go out of my way to make sure I recognize them, tell them how good a job they're doing. Like, because I remember when I was kind of like a one-man band, and I would go through these things, I had no one to support me, and when I did something I thought was a really good job and no one was there to praise me, like, I want to be that person for someone else. You know what I mean? I want to be the opposite of the person who lashes out at you. I want to be the one guy who noticed, like, wow, he noticed I've been working really hard on this. He noticed that. Damn, that was really nice of him, you know? I always try to be that guy.
You know, it's funny. I don't feel like I've ever needed that. You know what I mean?
It's not about needing it, though. It's nice to hear it, you know?
I guess, but it's one of those things. I mean, for me, obviously, we're speaking on our own. For me, it's like, I'm here because I want to be, not because I have to be. So it's one of those things, whether it was a good day or a bad day, it's like, at least I'm in control of, I'm here because I want to be, not because I have to be. You know, Some people are at their jobs because they feel like they have to, and situations in life have made them like, yo, this is your opportunity right now. Take it for what it is, and then when you can adjust, you can adjust.
Right.
But, you know, with, let's say, my team or people I work with and stuff like that, you know, I'm not much of a talker per se. I'm more of like, my actions speak for me. So it's like, if I keep hiring you, if I keep booking you, I keep hitting you up to rock with me, or like, yo, I'm going to go do this thing for fun. You want to like rock out? It's like, that's my version of like, yo, you do dope shit. I want to rock with you. So instead of like, you know, especially in the world now with, you know, kids and participation ribbons and like, you know, good job for trying. It's like, yeah, trying is great. You know, doing is better.
Ugh.
You know what I mean?
Bro.
So it's like, you know, for me, just kind of like to talk about what you just brought up. Like, I don't think I've ever, you know, these guys that would hire me and these bigwigs and like the celebs and the corporations and all the people, is just they know that I get it. They know that I know my place.
Right.
I don't ever step out of bounds. If they need an honest opinion, I'm going to give it to them. If they don't ask for my opinion, I'm not going to give it to them. You know, it's like one of my mentors told me, you know, and I've said this before in the past as well, where he's like, most people would take like an insult to this, but Derick takes it as a compliment, where it's like, I can go unnoticed, because I've been in so many rooms I'm not supposed to be in, or typically cameras wouldn't be allowed in, but because people are so comfortable with me, it's cool that I'm there, and they're happy that I'm there to capture the moment without interrupting the moment. And it's like fly on the wall or ninja, where it's like, you know, most people want to walk into a room and be noticed. I made it a skill set to walk into a room and not be noticed, and be able to do really cool stuff and be able to capture moments where people are like, oh, when did you take that? It's like, oh, when you did it. Like, that's you answering your own question, you know what I mean? And he said that I never looked at it that way. He said that to a big ESPN executive, and was just explaining about like who I was and why I was in the room and whatnot. And, you know, I've had a lot of cool moments like that where like the right people know, and I've always preached that to people, like, yo, stop trying to get everybody to like, stop trying to get approval from everybody. Like, fuck everybody. Do your shit. The right people are paying attention. The right people that are going to do shit for you are going to notice it.
Right.
Stop worrying about, you know, fuck your friends from school. Fuck your family members that think you're wasting your time. Like, it's your life. It's nobody else's. Just do your thing, and, you know, the right people are going to notice in due time. Right. You know, and if they don't notice at your speed, then, you know, stop worrying about them too and just keep going. You know, people are looking for approval, you know what I mean? And they're seeking approval, and anything and everything I've done thus far is like, I didn't do it seeking approval. I did it because I liked it. Some people, even my girl doesn't sometimes understand why I do certain things, and it's just like, yo, just let me be. Like, is it bothering you? If it's not bothering you, then, you know, let me do my thing. Right. It makes me happy. Yep. You know, and then sometimes she'll see the big picture, and then sometimes she'll be like, I still don't get it. Yeah, man. You know, and it's cool, and that's fine. It's perfectly fine. You don't have to understand everything, but just give me my space and my time to do my thing, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, you got to let people be who they are and let them, you know, express how they express, whether it be through song, through art, through screaming, you know, however it is that people express what they need to express, just let them be and let them flourish in their own way. And, you know, maybe you get it, maybe you don't, but what does it matter to you?
The only approval I seek is my own approval, bro. Like, when I do something and I see, okay, why am I doing? I really analyze things before, because I'm a person that once I start pursuing something, it's a life decision for me. Like, I do this until I reach a certain goal, and most of the time when I reach that goal, the next goal is higher within that same realm. It's not like go do something different. So I always ask myself, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I think it's a good idea and I love it? Or am I doing this because other people think it's a good idea and they love it, right? And yeah, obviously, guys like you and me, we kind of have to think of the public and audiences and kind of like what they like. But at the same time, if you're doing it for their sake and not for your sake, you're wasting your time. You're gonna be miserable, because if you're doing things for other people,
yeah, you're not doing it for yourself, bro. I mean, to a certain extent, you have to play the game to a certain extent. But you know, if it's not gonna make you happy, then don't even bother.
Preach, brother.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, I was just watching an interview earlier today on this other dude, on a YouTuber, and he was just like, yo, I did it for me, and I continue to do it for me, and he doesn't care about like YouTube monetization. And like, they were showing how he uses copyrighted music, and like how YouTube demonetizes his videos because he used copyrighted music, but he's still a multimillionaire. It's like, yo, like, at the end of the day, I'm trying to provide cool content for my viewers, for my fans, and I do it for them. I'm going to make my money however I make my money. And obviously, he runs his website. He has merchandising game, more like most YouTubers do and whatnot. But understanding that, you know, because most people will be like, yo, I want to sell merch and I want the monetization from YouTube. Right. But he's just like, yo, I'm not gonna sacrifice what I consider is my quality, you know, to bend over backwards because these guys, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, and he did it in 5 years, and he's in the millions, and he was living out of a car. So it's like, I've been doing this since 2006. I'm nowhere near where he's at, but I'm also in a different game, and I understand that. You know what I mean? And it's like they say, it's like, your success is not my failure. Your success shouldn't affect my feelings. It's more so, especially if you're from the crib, I would be excited for you because you know what? Maybe I'm the one supporter that you always realize, like, damn it, Derick always looked out, or Derick always supported, or Derick was always cool. You're in a position now where you might be able to do something with me, and now you elevate me.
100%.
So that's one of the reasons why I never wanted to leave Miami. In a sense, like I said, I could have gone to work for New York or LA a long time ago, and I stayed here because I wanted to figure out how I can help build the industry here with what we do. Content is that's what I do. I do content. I've been doing content since 2004. It's going to be 20 years. Professionally since 2006. And when I was doing it, the word content wasn't a thing. So, you take pictures. You do videos. Like, I learned editing on VHS.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Like,
been doing this a minute, man.
Yeah, and I'll be 40 in November. So, you know, in high school, that's like when I learned, like, that's the only TV production class I ever took. And mind you, I never thought this was going to be like, I've always liked taking pictures. I'm a car guy. I thought I was going to work on cars my entire life. But, you know, it's too hot in Florida to do that for a living. And people don't spend the money down here like that they would, like, you know, in other states where the car culture is big. So it's one of those things, like, I'll do it for me. And I continue to do it for me. But it's one of those things where, like, I enjoyed taking photos. I realized people love having photos of themselves, and it was just very easy to, like, this makes a lot of sense. And it's just kind of like how I got it. But cars got me everywhere. Like, my true passion for cars, and that's why I've always believed, like, yo, do what you love, and life will find a way for you.
Yes, bro.
You know?
150%, bro.
The problem is people compare their lives to others, and then they're like, oh, but look, this guy's doing less work than me, and he's making so much more money. But it's like, that's not the goal. You shouldn't be looking at his bank account. You know what I mean? You need to just figure out, like, are you happy? Is it fall within your guidelines?
Bro, if there's other people out there, this is something I say all the time. If there's other people out there chasing their dreams and following their passion and making money, you can do it too, bro. Like, there's no reason why somebody else can do something and you can't.
I say it a little bit different. I say it, for everything you love to do and would do for free, somebody gets paid to do it. Why can't it be you?
I love it. I love that, man.
So I've always thought about that. Like, think about it. If you love dolphins, people get paid to hang out with dolphins all day long. Like, that could be you. Why not? You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Like, anything and everything you do, you know. And mind you, it's also quality of life. Like, yo, if you want to treasure hunt, if you want to buy a metal detector and walk on the beaches and just look for treasure till your big payday, cool. Get yourself a job that gives you a fair quality of life. You have a car. You don't need the best car. You don't need the best apartment. You don't need to live in the best neighborhoods. You just need somewhere to lay your head, somewhere to transport, some way to eat. And then the rest of your energy goes into you treasure hunting because that's what you want to do and that's what makes you happy. Fuck around, start a YouTube treasure hunting, and that's where, you know, and then you quit your job and now you do this full time because now you're traveling the world, you know, using your metal detector on different beaches around the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's angles for everything. And, you know, guys are like, oh, when should you start? Luckily for me, I was still living at home when I decided to, like, you know, quit my job. I used to work at a hospital, and I decided to quit my job, and I was living at home. I talked to my mom, and my mom was like, look, you know, as long as you pay for your stuff and, you know, this is what you want to do, you run it. And, you know, I started traveling, and I started doing all my shit, and then I ended up moving because I had, like, the perfect opportunity. I found an apartment right by my warehouse that I had at the time. And that's the only reason I moved out of my house. You know what I mean? Like, my mom, you know how I'm the only child, so my mom, if my mom could, she'll have me living there, you know, tonight, you know, till today.
Only
but,
child, Hispanic moms.
Yeah.
You know.
So it was one of those things where it's like, you know, when I talk to, you know, younger people and I tell them, like, yo, look, if you're still at home at the crib, like, don't be in a hurry to dip. Ride that shit out and focus on your stuff, and, you know, you never know.
You never know, man.
That one extra year of you living at home might change the game for you.
Shit, bro, from your mouth to God's ears. I can remember being 17 and moving out on my own. I kind of had to do it out of necessity because my mom was leaving the city, and it's a long story. But I was still in high school, and I wanted to finish. And that was my journey, and that's what I had to do, and I learned my lessons through going through that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what everybody needs to do, though. Definitely, 100%. I think life comes in waves and seasons, and sometimes we think we should be doing something, when in reality, we should be doing the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Because being in the opposite situation is going to put you in that mindset where you're going to notice these things and be able to put yourself in a position to win, you know?
Well, you also got to look at it like, I mean, to simplify the metaphor, it's like if you go up to a store and there's 2 lines, are you going to get in the line that has more people or less people?
Less people, 100%.
So look at life like that. Like, yo, if everybody's doing the same thing, I get it. There might be a reason for it. But, yo, why don't you go where there's less people and you might find better opportunity for you and you
100%.
might be able to, like, jump to the front of the line faster.
Bro.
Because there's less people trying to get there, you know? So just understanding the game and understanding, you know, the patterns and, you know, people hit me up all the time. They're like, oh, I want to do what you do. I was like, what do you think I do? Like, oh, you take pictures and stuff. And I'm like, yo, but yes, to a certain extent. But, like, there's a lot of back-end stuff that people don't understand. And the fun, simplified part of it, yes. But now how do you generate funds from that? How do you take that skill set? Like, you can go take pictures of everything. But if nobody needs your services, what are you doing? Unless you're doing it because you love it. And that's why I do it. You know, I've always said it. If I was to be, you know, 7-figure rich, I'd potentially be doing what I'm still doing today, just at a more grand level. You know, I'd hire people to, like, make my life easier, to get back more time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You know, people are like, oh, would you ever have an assistant? I was like, nah, but I would love to have a driver. I love to cruise. I'm a car guy. I have to cruise with no purpose. Like, yo, let's just go take a cruise. We don't know where we're going. Let's cruise. It's like, yo, we got to drive from here to Fort Lauderdale. Fuck. Like, I want that, you know? But if I had a driver, like, yo, I could be on my phone. I could be answering text messages, emails. I can be lining stuff up. I could get so much stuff done. And sometimes even with me and my girl, we're going to go run a mission and I have stuff to do. I'll be like, babe, drive. And I'll just sit in the passenger seat, bro. And, like, what would take me an hour between red lights and stopping and all that, I can knock out in 10 minutes. And then, you know, the rest of the time I'm just, like, thought processing on, like, what's the next move or what the next thing I'm going to do. So it's like I always said, like, I don't know about having an assistant, but I would love to have a driver.
Having a driver saves you. Everybody I know, I've met several people that have drivers, and it always happens, they turn the car into the mobile office. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're having Zoom meetings and, like,
bro, everything, bro. I'm telling you. And as a car guy, I wouldn't mind having a mobile office like that, where it's like you can always be around. There's never an excuse like, oh, I can't make it. Yo, 1,000% I'll be there. Like, there's no I can't make it. Like, yeah, I'll be there.
For sure.
You know, even if it's just to show face, you got the office in the car. Now all cars have internet access.
Bro.
They have outlets. They have everything.
It's crazy. You know, I see these videos of these. I've seen podcasts where the dude is, like, sitting in his like, Rolls Royce or some shit, and it's like, yo, that's crazy.
That's a flex.
He's just doing, like, podcasts all day in his Rolls Royce with his Wi-Fi and, like, a driver.
If you can, why not, you know?
One day. Rolls Royce is the one car where I don't want to drive it. I want somebody to drive me in it. One day when I have one of those, like, that's a boss move.
Yeah, of course. That's not like a Cullinan or something. Those shits are hard. I'll drive that shit all day.
I follow this guy named Wes Watson on Instagram. He's like making like $3 million a month. He's a baller. And he has the Cullinan. He has like $10 million in cars. And the Cullinan is like, bro, it's like a beast and a luxury car mixed into one car.
It's like the perfect, you can be driven in it or you can drive it and still, like, you can pull up. And
super fire.
Yeah. There's certain cars that, you shouldn't drive, that they don't look good if you pull up driving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like,
a Rolls Royce is a chauffeur car for sure. Yeah. 100%. So you're a car guy. What are your favorite cars? Well, like I'm a car guy too.
Chevys and Lexus. I'm a GM guy.
Okay.
So it's like, you know, I got a 75 Caprice. I got a 91 Fleetwood. And, you know, I got some other stuff down the line too. But I've always been like a GM guy.
That's dope.
Like, you know, I've had a Camino, another Cadillac Fleetwood. I've had a Chevy Astro van. I've had a Chevy work truck. I have a Chevy bus now.
That's dope.
You know, but out of the Chevy realm, I've had an Infiniti Q45. That was my first Japanese car. Then I had a Lincoln Continental, which is my first Ford, my first and only Ford probably. And then you know, most recently, like the Kia Telluride, the Korean car, which I love. It's an amazing truck, and, you know, Chevy needs to step up their game and, you know, get into that realm.
The Asians are killing it with the car game right now.
It's insanity.
What Hyundai did with Genesis was nasty. Bro. Oh my god.
No, Hyundai is doing it because they're also Kia. So
Yeah, I'm a car guy too. I love old school, so I'm a Chevy guy too. I love the Chevelles and the Impala is like old school Chevys for sure. And then you got like the Miami scene with the Chevy with the seven dudes that says the donks and all that stuff. Yeah. My favorite car, like if I could pick one car to drive forever, it would be a Corvette. You know what I mean? Like
what year?
Bro, to be real with you, like a C7, C6, around there. I think that was the perfect era because it had like the Ferrari lights, but it still had the Corvettes. Yeah, like that 2010 01. Nice. Yeah, those are nice. Those are dope.
So, I mean, funny, like me saying I'm a Chevy guy, but my dream car is a Shelby Cobra, which has a Ford engine in it. But that's like ultimate. Like you could buy a kit car, and like I have a donk, I have a 75. And I invested so much money into that. If I would have realized that I spent that much money on that car, I probably would have built me a kit car Shelby Cobra. You know, because I didn't think I was gonna like invest that much money into that car. That it's just like, damn, I could have just had like my dream car. But you know, I'm happy with it. I love it. I enjoy it. You know, everywhere I go, it's like thumbs up. It's super clean. You know,
So last year, I want to say maybe about a year ago, like last summer, I'm driving down. What street is that? I forgot. 79th Street, going towards Biscayne to my friends that he used to live in North Bay Village. And I put up at the red light on Biscayne, bro, and a 67 Shelby Cobra GT500 pulls up next to me. Gold with 2 white racing stripes. I'll never forget it. I look over, and that guy's just like, you can tell he really loves the car. He's like really happy. And I'm like, yo, hey, man, I've never seen one of those on the street. What does it drive like? He's like, bro, I can't even describe it to you. This is my dream. And he's, it's super fun, man. How much did it cost you? He's like, yeah, like $220,000.
Sounds right for those GTs.
Bro, there's nothing like an old school muscle car. Like what they're doing with new cars is cool, and like I'm still a car guy, so I love it. There's nothing like an old school muscle car, like a 67 Shelby Mustang or a 1970 Chevelle. Or any, like, an old school Camaro, you know?
like all the tragas.
Bro, those...
Funny, I like the quiet shit. That's why I like Cadillac.
Oh, yeah?
You know, like, all my cars are super quiet.
Cadillacs are dope, too, though. I can't even...
I love pulling up and no one even notices. And they're like, oh, shit. Like, it's super quiet. Like, they'll hear my music before they hear my engine. Like, that whole loud shit is, like... My friends are all like that. They like all, like, the big engines and the... Like, they've always, like, made fun of me because, like, my shit's always, like... Quiet, like, low and slow. You know what I mean? Quiet. And to me, it's just, like, it adds a cleanliness to it. I could pull up somewhere and people enjoy it. I'm not obnoxious.
Yeah, I feel you.
Because those big engines could be a little obnoxious, you know, if you're not into it, you know.
I feel you. Well, I grew up in the 90s in Miami, so the Fleetwoods, like, if you had to have a Cadillac in the 90s. You remember the Sedan DeVilles?
Yeah, of course.
Bro, those cars. My dad had a silver Sedan DeVille sitting on these chrome rims, bro. It possibly was the nicest car I'd ever, like, with the bench seat and it was so sick. It had a CD changer when CD changers were big, like.
The 7 disc in the glove box.
Oh, what? Bro. And my grandfather had a green one, like. Yeah, and those cars were tough, too. They would last forever. They would just, back then, gas wasn't expensive, so you just...
You could run them, yeah.
You didn't care. Now it's like, bro.
No, they're no joke now.
And I actually was blessed enough last year I did some work with Cadillac. I worked at Ocean Cadillac for a while up in Aventura. And I found a new love for Cadillac, bro. Like, modern Cadillacs, I hadn't really been around Cadillacs like that.
They lost their way for a little while.
Let me tell you, though, these new Cadillacs that are coming out are gorgeous.
Oh, no, yeah. That new Lyric is insane.
Yeah, like those new CT5s that are coming out, those black wings, and the Escalade, bro. Oh my god,
Escalade's daddy,
bro. I have a renewed love after working there for a while. I have a renewed love for my next car is gonna be a Cadillac for sure. Like I'm picturing a brand new CT5. Think of like a modern version of the DeVille. It's all black on black CT5 Sport. And when they deck them out, they still deck them out. It's still Cadillac, bro.
Oh, yeah, no, the luxury is there. The luxury is never going to be gone.
When they deck it out, they deck it out. I'm definitely a Cadillac guy. I'm not a Lincoln guy. That was the thing back in the day. You either had a Lincoln or a Cadillac. Yeah. And since
when that Continental came out, I got the 2017 Continental. I love that car. I regret selling that car. I was turning it back in because it was a lease. And I had it wrapped, and I had it lowered, and I had it all done up, and then I was like, it's time to turn it back in, and I put it back to stock.
You should have bought
and
it.
I should just bought it and like wrote it out and then just try to sell it. Probably would have made more money.
Made more
way.
money, yeah. That's definitely a collectible. It has to be, right? Yeah.
Well, because they hadn't had the Continental since the 90s.
Right.
But it didn't do that good for them.
It didn't?
No.
You would think it would have done pretty well because before that, obviously, they had the classic Suicide Door Continental back in the 60s.
But when they brought one out, that model, Suicide Door 2018, it was like only like 100 made or something. But I never seen one, and I don't know what happened with that. But Lincoln's another company that's been kind of weird of the last few years. And, you know, they're trying to find, you know,
reinvent
their
themselves.
niche. Yeah, because everybody went to Mercedes and, you know, everybody went European on the luxury side.
Yeah.
You know, and then now, you know, Chevy Tahoe is $100,000 and it has all the same. The only thing that's different are the logos.
Right.
So, you know, but
it's pretty wild.
It's one of those things. But, you know, they understand the market. We not us so much, I guess.
Pretty much. Yeah, man. The cars, I have a special. And now it's confusing because you hop in a Tesla and it makes no noise and it's the fastest thing you've ever driven. And it's super, it's more your space, like super quiet, you know? And it's a dope looking car. But I miss that. I'm a car guy. Like I love the.
Well, now they're retrofitting electric motors for old schools.
Oh, that's terrible, bro.
I'll do that shit quick.
That's terrible, man. Now that Dodge is coming out with like new Challengers and stuff with just all electric. No, man.
I'll get me that electric motor and put 415s in the hood. Get rid of the gas tank. Put another 412s back there.
You're a beast. With you. That's how you have the Caprice? You got like the Tweety Birds and all that stuff?
Oh, I got two 12s in the back. Like I said, the car looks factory. Like if you look at the car, it looks like straight out of the dealership from 1975. But all the electronics are brand new. So all the technology, the speedometer, AC, new motor, like all the electrical is done in it. Power windows, like on the electrical tech side, it's all modern. But the car looks like they could put it in a movie about the 70s and it doesn't look out of place. It doesn't look like, it has a modern radio, which is the only thing that we'd have to hide if we were to use it for anything.
Right.
But if you see the car, it just looks factory from 1975.
Super nice. That reminds me, that's another car that reminds me of being a kid and the box Chevy and all that stuff. Yeah. Super dope, man. I don't know what it is about cars and men. Like there's always, there's some sort of connection, you know? Yeah. I haven't met too many women who are like car people. You know?
I've met a few. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I just think it's a different outlet for creativity.
It is, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like some people see cars as like something to do or like a tool to belong to a group or a social group. You know, other people really enjoy like the horsepower. Like I said, I'm not a horsepower guy. I'm not a speed guy. I've never really cared for that. Most of my friends are. Most of my friends are like, yo, but the bigger the engine, the more horsepower. You know, I was like, nah, I just rather have better music, and as long as my shit goes in the AC pipes,
right?
You know, I'm good. So
that's dope, man.
Yeah, I think it's just creative outlet, and you know, I think that's what it is. It's just also the eras too.
Yeah.
You know, like now, you know, you can have a car subculture on social media. So now there's, you know, male and female that are getting involved in it because there's a big market for it. There's more people that can relate to it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there's a girl that liked cars down here, but none of her friends did. And it'd be weird if she did. So she just never followed through.
Right.
Because it wasn't part of her social group.
Man, now I'm thinking, you're making me think of the kids that are growing up now and they don't have like those kind of cars when they're growing up. It's weird to almost think about because we grew up, we literally, so we were born before the internet, like VHS, that kind of era, cassette tapes. Then we went into CDs. Then we went into the internet, into digital. And now like electric cars. Now the flying car is about to come out. Yeah. And it's crazy to be a person who's seen, you know what I compare it to? My great-great-grandfather died when he was 104. God bless his soul. My sister got to see him before he died. So he met his kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, and great-great-grandkids. Great-great-granddaughter, my sister. He was born in 1898. So he saw the car get invented. He saw the airplane, TV, radio, color TV, black and white TV. Yeah. Like
and they went through it.
He saw everything that changed humanity. Yeah. And it took him 104 years. What took him 104 years has taken me 31. It's crazy to think about, like how fast technology is evolving and with the world.
We did a music video once. class, and the theme was supposed to be New Year's Eve 1999. And we were passing out, this was 2014, I think is when we shot it. And we were passing out beepers and passing out all this stuff. And I tell a girl, oh, grab this and put it like on your sports bra, because she was dressed like sports bra, sweatpants, like that style back then. It's like, oh, what is that? The artist passed by, was like, oh, let me get that. Snatched it from her hand and put it on his hat. And you see it in the video, and it was like, I was like, that's a beeper. She's like, what is that? I was like, that's what doctors have. I was like, yeah, doctors still use them to today, but back then they were like, you know, they were consumer friendly. Everybody had them. Like, if you need to get a hold of somebody, you beep them, and then they'll call you back from a payphone. So it's like the fact that there's people like even AOL. Sometimes you bring up AOL to people and like, oh, what is that? What's the screen name?
Instant Messenger, bro.
Yeah,
I love
that was the shit.
If you had AOL, you were the man. Yeah. Like
the age, sex, location pick.
You remember when the Sidekick came out and you could? Oh,
I jumped onto T-Mobile. I'm still a T-Mobile user because of that. I literally got it. It came out the summer I graduated high school in 2002. It came out that summer. And I remember very well because I got it at the T-Mobile on 49th Street across from where the Hooters is now, because I went to the cafe next door to get un batido. And I'm sitting there talking to a girl, and she's like, oh, where are you? I was like, oh, I'm in the cafeteria. She's like, how are you talking to me? Like, because you would just talk to people from home.
From a computer, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It was one of those things where
the game changed.
Like, what do you mean? And I was like, yeah, I'm at a cafeteria. And then when you can start taking pictures with it and show people, like,
where you were.
Where you were. And I'll never forget, there was a girl that told me once, she's like, yo, she's like, oh, where? I was like, oh, I'm driving. She's like, what do you mean driving? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, I'm about to pass this. I literally took her a picture of the street sign. She's like, oh, this is going to be a game changer when I ask my boyfriend, where is he?
That's crazy, bro.
I didn't even think of it that way, but the fact that's where her head went.
Yeah, right? And now it's like, now you just have a phone, find my iPhone, boom, and you know exactly where people are.
Yeah, that GPS is crazy.
Technology is, I try to wrap my head around how fast technology is evolving, and it's evolving at an insane rate. Mm-hmm. Insane rate. We're going now with AI. We're
becoming dumber, and the machines are becoming smarter.
Man, you know what though? I kind of see how. I used to be a person who was super anti metaverse and AI and all this. Oh, the Matrix, Terminator, you know.
Yeah.
Now
Skynet.
Yeah, it's over. Now I see as of right now. I'm not talking about 50 years from now. As of right now, I see how the AI is going to be incorporated in a way to where the tedious garbage that no one wants to do is going to get taken care of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that tedious garbage is what makes people who they are. Dealing with the bullshit is what builds character.
It is.
Because think about it. Think about this. If you were to give somebody, imagine getting somebody all the way to the top in the easiest way. They're going to feel like they're going to feel entitled because, like, yo, they didn't have to do anything to get there. So that one time they do have to actually work hard because that's what needs to get done, they're going to suck at it, and then they're going to have a bad attitude about it because it's just like you didn't pay your dues, you know what I mean? Like, I tell the story all the time about people. I was telling the story yesterday to somebody, and it's like one of my main guys that was like the intern that I had that was like the fucking best intern in life is one hell of a DP now. And he started from, you know, yo, I need you to clean the bathroom. I need you to build this vanity. I need you to paint the wall. Whatever. He never said no. He would just be like, all right, what do you need me to do today? Yo, and he will hustle. And it was one of those things where he was going to school and he was paying for school for video production. And he, you know, when I ever had jobs, I would bring him with me, whether he was driving or I was like, yo, here's an extra camera, just shoot. Just shoot behind the scenes of us shooting. I just kind of want to see, like, how you operate, like, how you stand in a room. Do you get in the way? Do you stay out of the way? Just kind of understand, like, how he moved. And, you know, he just has a good character to, like, yo, he's down for the cause. Like, what do we got to do to execute this? It doesn't matter if he's at the very bottom or if he's at the top, you know, setting the rules. He's going to tell people, yo, let's move that light. He's going to be like, yo, Derick, help me move this light. You know what I mean? Like, that's his personality and that's his character. And, you know, I feel him going through not necessarily the BS that I gave him to do, but just the fact that he was willing to do it. A lot of people realize, like, yo, this guy's like, this is like the guy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you know, he has an amazing career now. And, you know, like, it's almost like a proud dad. Like, I see him out there and he's doing cool shit. And it's just like, he booked shit that I wish I booked. And I'm just like, fuck, like, yo, how was that shit? You know what I mean? And he'll be like, yo, you want to come through? I got you. Like, you know, and sometimes I can and sometimes I can't, you know. But it's one of those things where it's like tedious to me is what builds character and it's what builds people to like understand, you know. For example, let's say she's behind the camera. What she's doing is not fun, but she understands. She's understanding the business. She's getting what she's doing. You know, that's why we're here. At the end of the day, she probably knows more about this whole shit than you and I do. Why?
100%.
You know what I mean? 100%. So it's one of those things where it's like understanding what behind the scenes is, understanding what, like, I tell people all the time is you don't have to be a basketball player to be in the basketball business. You know, you don't have to be a musician to be in the music business. You know, you don't have to know how to drive to be in the car business.
You don't have to podcast to be in the podcast business.
You know what I mean? You don't have to be
I'm with you.
So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, tedious is not always bad. And you just got to find the people who are with it. Like, I hate paperwork. I despise paperwork. I'm dyslexic. So, like, when I see too many words on a piece of paper, my mind just like, nope, we're not doing this. I'm straight. And I just like, I'll put it off. Invoicing people, like, thank God that they've made, like
QuickBooks.
shit like that. Not even QuickBooks. QuickBooks, for me, is complicated. I use fucking Pages on Apple. The shit that came on my computer, and I understand it better because it's more user-friendly and it's easier to do. And to me, like, now making invoices is a breeze. Yo, I would take months to send an invoice. And mind you, it's my money. I'm shooting myself in the foot. But because it was just, like, such a process for me to, like, have to, like, write that stuff down and do all that stuff, it's, like, a nightmare for me. Like, even me with, like, when I sit with a group or, like, if I'm going to do something, like, I write everything down, whether it be on my phone or, like, literally a piece of paper. Like, I love writing on paper because I can scratch stuff out. And then I remember. Because when you delete stuff, you forgot you wrote about it. But if I scratch it out, I can always go back to, like, oh, yeah, I already thought about it. I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
So it's, like, tedious to me is not always bad. You know, can it help streamline certain things? Yeah, but then you also have to think, is streamlining certain things and making life easier for a lot of people always going to be the best thing for humanity? Super
important. I think you got to make the distinction between, all right, streamlining and eliminating a process that's important to build me.
Yeah,
I'm with you 100% because I'm a big person that I am who I am because of those bad moments or like tough moments I've been through. So if I get the character building, I'm with you. So distinction, like we have to definitely, when we're using these tools, you got to yes, it's good to streamline, but it's bad to eliminate things that have a purpose for you and to turn
like
you.
Building tools.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with it 150%. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And I love, man, that whenever I meet somebody who has that attitude of whatever, let's do it, whatever it takes, someone who's like down and sees the vision and is about what you want to, like, you know, what you're painting and about what you want to create.
Down for the cause.
There's nothing like that. When you get, there's a viral clip on Instagram. It's Joy, you know, the comedian Joy Diaz.
If I see him, maybe. I'm so bad with names.
He says, you only need 3 motherfuckers. 3 people, you could take over a country. You put 3 people together and they're finished. You understand me?
No, it's true. If you get 3 people with that mindset of like, yo, whatever it takes,
it's over.
Yeah, you get anything done. I mean, there's only 3 of us in this room, and I'm not working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is getting done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to look at it that way, and you have to understand that way. And you know, even this stuff, like even like me thinking about like, oh, the podcast world. Like, does the world need another podcast? Maybe not. Maybe so. Who cares? Everybody has a customer. Everybody has an audience. Everybody has a fan base. But it's just even like certain things in this world are tedious. Certain things are like, you know, it's not always fun. We have in good conversation. Sometimes you probably interview somebody and like their conversation sucks. You know, I had somebody bring me on one time and I was trying to be funny and it just turned out it wasn't funny. It was just boring. Because I was trying to be dry and I was doing it on purpose. And this is like, I feel like I almost like sabotaged the dude's thing. And it was like, man, I should have rethought about that. You know what I mean? I should have like, you know, and I guess the guy was like, oh, the guy's a dick. And I was playing around, but it just didn't perceive that way, and it just came out boring. It didn't come out funny. So, you know, that's a form of, you know, something tedious, where it's like you're interviewing people that are not pulling your interest, or they're not saying nothing interesting for you or for your audience. And it's like understanding, okay, cool, this is how this person is. Yeah. And now as a host, you're learning like, okay, cool, I'm going to deal with people like this. Or maybe, you know, when I choose who I want to interview, maybe that's not the person, or maybe I should have a preliminary conversation with them over the phone to see if there's something that catches me and we can bounce back and forth like we are right now, you know?
I'm with it because, yeah, I can relate totally. I've discovered so many faces of my personality in this podcast that I never knew I even had, based on the type of person that came on my show.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to them about and had conversations with them and touched topics with them that I never would have talked about in my life had it not been for this person that came on my show. So I love the process of self-discovery. I do this obviously because I want to bring me to the world, and a big part of, like, you know, the lessons I've learned in life and stuff like that. I want to put that out in the world. I also don't want to stop discovering myself and growing as a person.
1,000%.
And making these connections with people like you and having these conversations is a big part of my own journey, my own self-discovery. Podcasting has just given us a vehicle to be able to, A, monetize it, and B, share it with the world so other people benefit from it at the same time.
Yeah.
You know? So whenever you can put those two things together, meaning other people benefit and you make money, that's a perfect combination. You know?
1,000%.
Definitely. My brother, I appreciate you coming.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
This has been amazing. I really appreciate this. We're probably going to do this in the future.
Let me know.
Definitely.
I'm around.
For sure. Maybe I'll get you and Days together.
That'd be cool. we talk about cool shit. So
yeah, definitely. So I usually always wrap up all my podcasts with 3 questions. So one question first. What inspires Derick G?
As cheesy as it sounds, it's just nostalgia. Like nostalgia, like I miss old Miami. Like even walking into this building, it feels like an old Miami that doesn't exist anymore.
Man.
Like walking into this building, when you gave me the
man.
address, I'm like, oh shit, that's the hotel across the airport. And I'm like, damn, I haven't been in here in a minute. I've been to the convention center not too long ago, but I hadn't been on this
In the
side.
building, yeah.
And like, you know, I always know these are like the duty free shops and like where you come. And it's like, yo, you walk in here and it just feels like OG flea market Miami.
Yeah, man.
And it's like the real Miami before social media, before, you know, hype beast, before all that stuff. So it's like walking in here, it's like, damn, I should shoot something in here. Because it feels very, it feels like what I grew up on.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It feels like what I like, you know, like I was born here in the 80s, you know, obviously raised, you know, ran the streets in the 90s here. And, you know, we didn't have cell phones, or we didn't have cell phone cameras. And like, you know, you would see stuff and then you look at pictures. And funny enough, one of my boys, Rubio, he sent me a video the other day on YouTube, and it was like he YouTubed like Miami in the 90s. And it's camcorder footage of these 2 girls getting arrested or getting harassed or questioned by police officers in Hialeah. And you see like the old Hialeah police cars. These girls are like in baggy Looney Tunes shirt with gold teeth, with like their hair gelled. And it's like, yo, I should shoot like some modern like influencer chicks like that, like in that style, and show like, yo, this is real Miami. That's dope, and not the Barbie doll Miami that we live in now, you know. Yeah, it's kind of so nostalgia. To answer the question is nostalgia, man.
Nostalgia. Wow, that's such an original answer. No one's ever said that. Nostalgia is a big part of me. It's a big part of my culture. It's a big part of why I do this.
You can tell.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, this was all inspired from Montana Method. Is just a book I wrote about the lessons I learned in the Scarface film, and Scarface was made almost a decade before I was born. So imagine, I'm already an old soul at heart. I love, you know, 80s hair bands and 70s disco and watching Cocaine Cowboys and sitting with my grandfather passed away. I used to love sitting with him and listening to his stories all day about how Miami used to be and coming from Cuba. I have such a connection in my soul with my roots and like Miami and how I grew up. Nostalgia's huge, man. I love it.
It came out the year I was born, so. I mean, and obviously, like I'm into production, so like even like understanding like the history with like Brian De Palma and like that whole team that put that together, and like I don't know if you know, Tony burned his hand in the shooting scene at the end
when he was shooting the rifle. Yeah,
and his reaction they got on camera with him
was really burning his hand. Yeah,
but he was out of commission for like 2 weeks. So that's why that scene has so many shots and it's so long in the movie, because they had 2 weeks to shoot it. And Spielberg came by and Brian's like, yo, do you want to direct some stuff? So like that, like I forgot what, there's like 3 or 4 directors that showed up to just visit Brian on set, because they were shooting that all stuff is all shot in LA. So like Steven Spielberg has like his little, and that's my favorite director, he has his little touch in Scarface, which I thought was amazing, you know what I mean?
It's awesome.
So, you know, it's like those little like nuggets of like history.
Right.
You know, and it's you know, Jurassic Park's my favorite movie. Bad Boys Part 1 is like
dope.
Those are like my 2. I can go home, watch both of them, and wake up tomorrow and watch them again. And it's
yeah, I'm the same with Scarface. I go watch that anytime. And I always see something different every time I watch it. That's what I love about the film. I'm still learning. I'm still grabbing little things from it. And yeah, that film just did so much for me. That I think they're selling the mansion. What? It's over in California.
Oh, the original one, yeah. Probably. It's in Bel Air, I think.
I'd be sick if I could buy it one day. Hmm? This year's the 40th anniversary of the movie.
Yeah, they're doing something at the Fontainebleau.
With Al Pacino, yeah.
You go sit down and watch the movie with him and have dinner.
Yo, these digital marketers are tracking me. They keep blowing that thing in my face.
I keep getting like $900 a ticket or something.
Yeah, it's crazy. I might go. We'll see. I'll definitely get him to sign the book, bro. If I get like a video of him signing the book and us talking, great, yeah. Bro, that'll go viral.
I mean, let's see who else they bring, because obviously Stephen Bauer's still around.
Right.
Chi-Chi, I see him all the time. He's all over the place. Brian De Palma.
Michelle Pfeiffer, maybe.
No, that'd be great if they all showed up.
Right.
I know they're marketing him to get people to go, but
the whole crew, That'd
be amazing. I mean, it'd just be expensive to get all of them there, I'm sure.
Probably. Just him. That's why they're charging $900 a ticket, because him alone is probably
big bucks.
A stupid amount of money they're paying him.
And it's cool they're doing it at the Fontainebleau where they shot the movie.
Where they shot that scene in the movie. Yeah. Cool. Not that many people know that scene where he's like, oh, first you get the money and then get the power. Yeah. That was shot in the Fontainebleau.
And the lizard shot. Yeah.
I've watched the movie so many times I can tell you every line where each scene was recorded.
That's how I am with Bad Boys and Jurassic Park.
Dope. Super dope. Nostalgia, man. I love it. Second question. What's next for Derick G?
I guess just continue to do what I'm doing now at bigger levels, so where finances can be better. It gives me more freedom to do what I want. I want to travel again. It's been a while since I traveled. I want to just get back on the ball and just start, moving around the country or even the world a little bit more like I used to back in the days. Just obviously have a family now, so it's a different game. But, just share that experience that I've had in my past with my family and, show them, somewhat of the lifestyle where it's, you're going to get to, understand, we're not the center of the world in the United States. People think here we are. You go to Europe or you go to Japan, even though we influence culture to a certain extent, we're not the center of the world. So it's cool to go, I've been blessed to go to 6 out of 7 continents, and I got to see a lot of cool stuff, and I've got to taste a lot of different foods and, hear a lot of different languages and hold on to different kinds of money. And it's just, as much as they all look over here, they also look over here as much as we look at the beach. Something to do, but it's not life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here, we're being from here, we look at South Beach and it's a part of us, it's there, but
at the end of the day, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of that's how I feel when I travel, and it's they obviously appreciate our culture and our art and, our celebrities and, that kind of stuff. And obviously the world is all united now through social media, so it's not what it used to be. Even back then, before social media, you can tell who was from what neighborhood by the way they dressed.
Yeah.
Now all kids look the same. They all have the same haircut.
Pretty
They're
much
wearing the same sneakers. So it's, different world. But I just want to get back on keep building the Sky Miles and kind of just travel.
I love it.
And figure out how to make money as I'm on the go with my family.
Super dope. I love traveling. Outside of writing and podcasting, I'm going to start incorporating traveling somehow into the channel, because traveling is it's a passion.
People don't realize how amazing it is to travel.
And meeting new people. Recently, I started doing Spanish episodes on Thursdays. And recently, I had a guest on that I met in Costa Rica.
Dope.
So
that's where my whole family lives.
That's dope. I love Costa Rica. It's such a beautiful country. I'm going to buy a house there one day, for sure.
Dope.
And then the last question, my brother. How does Derick G want to be remembered?
Just cool visuals. I'm a very visual person. I'm not, funny enough, in high school, I got rewarded for creative writing, but I don't like to write.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's one of those things, just because you're good at it doesn't mean you're going to enjoy it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things, but I do love visuals. I realize that, for somebody who doesn't care for words, I love books, but I love picture books, and I love to go through them and acknowledge, and I understand the whole saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Perfect example. You can walk into your doctor's office as a kid, and they can have the same picture of a flower pot there for 20 years and it won't bother you. But if they're playing the same video from 20 years ago, you're going to be like, yo, I can't believe they're still playing that shit. But if that photo can be there for another 20 years and you're not ever going to go in there and be like, yo, they still have this photo of this flower on the wall. It's never going to bother you. It's always going to be like, oh, this is part of the room.
Yep.
But if that same 30-second commercial or 1 minute commercial is still on, you're going to be like, yo, they haven't shot nothing new. So to me, it's like that, you know, photography has a longer life. That's why I've always been kind of like more so focused on photography. Derick as a photographer. When it comes to video, yes, I do video. Yes, I do the vlogs and I can do all that stuff. And it's all more celebrity driven. But when it comes to like full production stuff, I usually bring a team on to help me with that stuff because I'm truly not passionate over the video side of things. I'm more passionate of the photography because to me, it's more of a skill set to tell a story with one frame of a photo than it is to like editing something together to tell a story, because that's kind of like a cheat code. Like, yeah, you can tell a beginning, middle, and end with an edit. With a photo, how do you do that? You know, it's tough, and there's certain photos that do it. And mind you, some stuff is just vanity. Some stuff is just, it's cool to look at. Some stuff, you know, you might have an opinion on it. Some stuff might get you mad. Some stuff might get you excited. Some stuff, you know, might get you excited in a different way. So it's like that stuff where it's like some people are like, you know, it's almost like creating shock value before shock value was a thing. You know, so like to me, like I've always been like, I love all those 80s posters with the cars and the girls. And I know now in this world, you got to be careful with what you say and how you portray certain things and stuff like that. But there's also also a skill set and an art to it, to where it's so specific of the era to try to recreate that takes a skill set. So like, you know, I just kind of like how going back to the nostalgia thing, like I just kind of want to focus more on, you know, look at TV shows. You watch TV shows where like they're period pieces and they, you know, they shoot everything like in a specific era.
Right.
Like, you know, I want to be the guy that when Hollywood wants to come to Miami or somebody from Miami wants to shoot old Miami stuff, they hit me up.
Yo,
like,
Derick G, yeah.
That's the guy. I know aesthetically what Miami looks like. I know what buildings are still around that were back then that we can shoot in, and it's going to look great, and it's going to feel like we're shooting in the 80s. Super and kind of just working on that stuff and kind of, you know, being hands-on and helping execute or even just consulting on stuff. You know, I'm doing something next week, you know, that fell on my lap for like this big brand. And, you know, they're bringing us in for content to help document everything, but then they're also having a little Miami to it. So my guy was like, hey, we need these things. Can you help execute? I was like, yo, 1,000%. So as much as I became the Miami content guy for a lot of these brands that I met as I was with these guys from the past, I want to do that just aesthetically. Yo, we need this to feel very Miami. And I was able to do that last year with this big cryptocurrency company. I got hired through this agency to help them with content, and then they started picking my brain on stuff, and they essentially just like gave me full creative direction on it, and I presented it, and you know, mostly when you get hired by agencies, there's kind of like the agency is the wall between the client and you because it's their client, not yours. And this agency was like, yo, you want to jump on the call with us and kind of walk through our client, what you envision? And I was like, dope. That's, you know, hell like yeah. You know, and like that's the kind of stuff where it's like, they know they don't have to worry about me snatching the client from them because the fact that you've already given me, they just showed me that they're confident in where they stand. Exactly. And it's like, cool, it's a cool relationship. You know, funds are transparent. They're going to make their bread. They're going to make sure I make mine. The client's happy. There's nothing gets lost in translation. Which is something about Miami that I don't admire, man. There's so many people, there's so many sleazebags out here that you just can't be transparent with them sometimes because they're insecure and then they just want to take everything that you show them or give them and they want to take advantage of the situation. That's all it is. But, hey, just keep a better circle, I guess. I'm all about it, Derick. I love a big part of my culture is Miami. My goal through this podcast, through my brand, is just to bring me to the world. A big part of it is Miami. I love what you do. I love what you do for our city. I love the way you capture the essence of who we are, who we've been. And that's the reason I invited you, really, just because it was a perfect fit. You know, it's what I'm all about. I appreciate it. Definitely, my brother. Anything for the crib. Of course, man. The team. So thank you for coming through, my brother. Let people know how they can connect with you. Derick G on Instagram, DERICK_G. Perfect. Easiest way to get it. Just hit me up on a DM. Sounds good, man. Appreciate you coming, dog. Thank you. Alrighty, guys. Another episode of Montana Method Podcast. Your host, Nelson. As always, push it to the limit. The world is yours. And never forget, if you are not chasing a dream, life is meaningless, guys. Till the next one.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags.